That family who receive that news, that bad news, just stays with them forever. It impacts their life forever.
Over the years, we've come to see thousands of drink driving related cases dealt with by the police, thousands of road traffic collisions, with many being seriously injured or even killed, and hundreds of thousands of families affected. One of those families that was affected is Martin and Elizabeth Gallagher. Their son, who is also called Martin, was knocked down and killed by a drunk driver in the early hours of November 1st, 2009, following the city's Halloween celebrations. I wanted to find out how this has impacted them.
Martin was 25 when he was killed. We say killed, but as far as we're concerned, he was murdered. He was full of life. He was only starting to love. He had a job. He loved it. He was going steady. He had everything to love for. He left the bar. Just had a fantastic time. He was dressed as Buzz Lightyear. So he was crossing, and he had one foot on the footpath when he was struck by the car. His shoe was left where he had put his foot on the pavement. The car struck him, and the impact sent him right up to where the tree is now beside the first house. The impact which it had Martin with, his brains was left on the car windscreen. He had multiple injuries, broken arms, broken legs, his eye sockets, his teeth. Just his body was mutilated. But the car that had Martin that night, they drove on. They went to a party and left him lying. The only thing we heard was the bedroom door was burst open, and it was just, he's dead, he's dead. And I says, who's dead? He says, Martin's dead. It was his son. Doesn't sink into you. I came down and the two policemen were standing there, and we were taken up by the police up to see, up to identify him. The policeman did go on and he came out. The policeman was really looking. We were advised not to see him, so that was it. We just had to sit here. Martin fell apart. He couldn't cope. So I was more or less left just to do everything. You're having to phone an undertaker to arrange for your son to be buried. Everyone was affected in different ways. Even the grandson, what age was he, 6?
6, aye.
He couldn't go into the bedroom. He was badly affected. They were all affected.
Their life's just ruined, you know. I mean, that guy that killed Martin got 3 years. We got life. You know, they say time heals, but no, it doesn't. Like, you know, like Martin was killed on Halloween. You have Halloween, and then after that you have Christmas, and then Martin's birthday was in February. So I mean, it's just one thing after the other, you know.
If you're going out to drink, you're going out to enjoy yourself. You're not going out to drive home. There's taxis there. You've friends there to lift you.
I mean, if anybody's thinking about it, come and speak to us. We'll let them know. But
until it comes to your door, you don't realise the pain, and it does affect the whole family. It's really badly affected, and nobody else sees it. You know, and you look at his friends, they're married, family. That's where he should have been too.
Statistics show that between the 1st of August 2018 and the 31st of July 2019, there were 2,721 drink driving related offences dealt with by the police. During the Christmas period of 2018, the youngest person that was detected drink driving was 14 years old, while the oldest was 83 years old. I've spoken to Constable Stuart Crutchley from the PSNA's Road Police and Education team. I wanted to find out how alcohol can affect a person's driving and what consequences it can involve.
Yeah, so alcohol is a depressant, and it will affect the decisions you make, and that's very important when you're behind the wheel of the car. Obviously, decision making when you're driving a car is crucial. So alcohol will affect your decisions behind the wheel, affect your ability to judge speed, to make judgments, and to make decisions. It's not good enough just to head out for a night and not think about how you're going to get home or to rely on your ability to drive, because one drink will affect how you drive. So the crucial thing is to have a plan, and that plan could be to have a designated driver who's not going to drink. It could be to have a taxi booked, but crucially have a plan made and stick to it. Once alcohol's in the system, once it's in the decision-making processes start to change, so it's good to have that sorted out long before you head out for the night and to stick to it. Alcohol stays in your system a long time, and it's very hard to know when the alcohol has completely left your system. I'll give you an example of a case I dealt with quite a few years ago, where I stopped a car one morning at about 9:30 just because the driver was on his phone. Once I spoke to him at the side of the road, I could smell the drink. Once I breathalyzed him, he failed the test. So there's a guy who was still over the limit, 9:30 the next morning. The thing that sticks with me about that case is that on the journey back to the police station, because he was arrested for drink driving, on the journey back to the police station, he said to me, look, he says, I was out last night and I even got a taxi home. But where he had failed was to think about the next morning. He was on his way to work, probably a bit late, going to pick his car up, but was still over the limit. And the consequences for that guy was that he eventually lost his licence. He failed the test at the side of the road. He failed the breath test back at the police station. He failed the blood test that was subsequently taken, and in court the judge disqualified him from driving. So while there was no crash, no collision, the consequences for that guy were still pretty serious. Disqualification from driving and a fine, still over the limit the next morning. It's very simple. Never ever drink and drive.
The consequences of drinking and driving is very clear, and the impact never ever goes away for families like this.